Hello friends, today I'm going to share part 1 of our unconventional twin birth story. If you've been following along, this goes right on track with everything that's happened this pregnancy. It did not happen as we expected. Some of it's going to be emotional, but we've had so much love and support through this experience. I'm going to do my best to share with you what has happened over the last few days. In case you're new here or you've missed pieces along the way, last spring we felt really strongly that we were supposed to add to our family. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have a hard time. At the beginning of the year last year, we felt really strongly that it was time to add to our family. Man, I didn't expect to get so emotional so early. Bear with me. We got pregnant in June. Sometime in end of July, early August, we had our first ultrasound and found out we were having twins. And we were so excited. At 12 weeks, we had an ultrasound confirming that they were modi twins, meaning they were identical. Each had their own sac, but shared a placenta. And because of this type of twins, we would need to see a high-risk doctor throughout the pregnancy because there were some complications that could happen. End of August, early September, we found out the babies were girls, and that just blew us away because we have these 4 beautiful boys, and we're really excited by this fun change of getting to have these girls. In early October, unfortunately, the girls started showing signs of twin transfusion. This occurs when they're sharing too much blood and nutrients back and forth, that both babies start to have health issues. And because of this, we were sent to Denver. And after about a week in Denver being watched, they decided to do surgery where they disconnect the blood vessels that are sharing between the babies. 5 days after surgery, we had a follow-up appointment and were unfortunately told that one baby was not going to make it and that there were complications, something called TAPS. So baby A was anemic and her blood was too thin and it was pumping too hard, and we were told that she would pass away. It could be weeks, it could be days, they weren't sure, but there was nothing else they could do for them. So we came home to Alaska, and at our 10-day post-op appointment, baby A's heart had stopped beating. I was 21 weeks pregnant. It was very difficult after losing baby A. There were no guarantees that baby B would survive after this, but her likelihood did increase. We would have lost both babies if we hadn't had surgery, but unfortunately we still lost one. Baby B was okay. We had lots of appointments, checking on her. Lots of ups and downs still, lots of worries. During the surgery that I had, they go through your amniotic sac, and there's no way to close up your amniotic sac. There's just 2 layers and they kind of cover each other. So typically women only stay pregnant 10 to 12 weeks after surgery is what we were told. But in my mind, I was going to make it until February, which was 16 weeks or 15 weeks. That was my hope, and that's what we were shooting for. Unfortunately, I am textbook case in this scenario again. We kind of were on the wrong side of every statistic during this pregnancy. And after a day of getting ready for Christmas, if you watched our Christmas traditions video, I had filmed over the course of several weeks, but I did make cookies, and that was the last thing I did before I was ready to go lay down for the night. It was only around 7:30 at night, so it wasn't super late, but I was finishing up getting everything done for Christmas. I was ready to bathe and lay down for the night when I felt a small pop, and then there was fluid and blood going down my legs, and my water had broke at 30 weeks pregnant. I was not having any contractions. It was the day before Christmas Eve. Mark called my sister to take care of the boys, and we left for the hospital. At the hospital, I was admitted to triage. They checked me and confirmed that my water had broken and said that I would not be leaving the hospital. They said, even with your water broken, you can stay pregnant several weeks. And their goal from that moment that they checked me was 34 weeks, or another 4 weeks in the hospital on antibiotics trying to keep me pregnant. There's a few important things that happen when your water breaks and they want you to stay pregnant. Number one, I was put on magnesium through an IV for 24 hours. This helps the baby's brain be better when they are born early, or if they're born early. The baby was going to be born early no matter what. Just was it going to be born today or 4 weeks later? The magnesium helps. It also slows down labor if you start to have contractions. I was not having contractions at this point. I was given a steroid shot. This helps with the baby's lung development. The goal is to get 2 steroid shots in 24 hours apart. So I got my first steroid shot, and they started antibiotics for infections that can happen when your water breaks. I started these medications around 11 o'clock at night and spent the next 24 hours kind of miserable in bed. They were monitoring the baby, monitoring for contractions, taking my blood pressure constantly. I had a pulse on my finger, so connected to a ton of things, trying to get sleep, constantly trying to find the baby's heart rate for that 24-hour period. On Christmas Eve, I was rolled into an ultrasound room to have an ultrasound with a high-risk doctor. During this ultrasound, she confirmed that only baby A's water had broken. This was the baby that had already passed away, and they were not going to push for labor. During the ultrasound, baby A looked great. She had lots of fluid left around her, and they just were really hoping that I could stay pregnant for another several weeks. I was wheeled back to my room to finish off my 24 hours of magnesium and pretty much just hang out in bed. First meal in like a long time. So good.
About 18 hours or so.
Yeah.
When you need to think about this room here, there's this door here in the wall, and this is for the high-risk pregnancies, and so this door goes into the NICU. So when the baby's born, they can pass it right through the wall over here into the NICU.
Around 10:30 at night, I got my second steroid shot, and when my water broke the day before, my parents got right on the computer and booked tickets to fly up to Alaska. So at around 10:30 that night, when I was getting my second steroid shot, Mark left the hospital and went to the airport to pick up my parents. We were so grateful that they could come so quickly and be with the kids and make it so that Mark could go back and forth to the hospital, because we really had no idea what was going to be happening over the next course of the days and weeks. We decided that Mark should stay home once he picked up my parents, because he wouldn't be getting home till like midnight, and then do Christmas morning with the boys and my parents, and then come back to the hospital. The boys had a wonderful Christmas Eve with my sister and brother-in-law and the cousins, and then my sister brought them back to our house to meet up with my parents and Mark. So around midnight, I was taken off of the magnesium. I was taken off of the other medications, and the doctor decided that because no contractions had started, I could be monitored every 2 hours for half an hour instead of being on constant monitoring, so that I could get some sleep. I was taken from labor and delivery up to the prenatal unit to be watched and hopefully just hang out. Starting around 11 o'clock, I did start having some stomach issues. I felt like because I had been on that magnesium for 24 hours, it really slows down all the processes in your body because it's a muscle relaxer. So I thought I was just having a stomach ache. and I was really tired. I was in and out of sleep, and I was allowed to get up and go to the bathroom at this point because I did not have any IVs in. So I tried to get up and go to the bathroom several times, but I really just was trying to get some sleep and just felt a bit uncomfortable. At 4 a.m. on Christmas morning, I ended up delivering our stillborn baby. Apparently it wasn't a stomach ache. I had been having some contractions, even though they were like 30 minutes apart. My body was ready to deliver baby A. Mark rushed back to the hospital to be with me. They took care of baby and put her in this beautiful little blanket and a hat. Took me back down to labor and delivery where they could deal with having the baby. Our sweet angel baby A was born at 4:02 a.m. on Christmas morning. She weighed less than a pound because she had passed away 10 weeks earlier. We named her Magnolia Linda Hamm, and we call her Maggie for short. This is baby Maggie, or Magnolia Linda. She was born at 4:01 on Christmas Day. She's probably about a little over a pound. She's just tiny, but she's so special. Mark and I are just getting to hold her. I am dilated to a 6 and having contractions, so her sister may be born here soon. We're trying to stop labor. We were hoping to wait a couple weeks, but just doing what we can at this point. I think my water's broken. Magnolia, or Maggie, is after my grandmother. Linda is Mark's mom's name, so her grandma. When we lost baby Maggie at 21 weeks, I had a really hard time with the names we had chosen. Baby A in my mind was always Magnolia or Maggie. But after she passed away, I really struggled because I thought, do I need to start over with names? Because it had been so sad. But nothing ever felt right. And Mark came to me a few weeks before this all happened and said, can we just solidify their names so we can start calling her by her name? Because we just need to call her by her name. And that helped us in the grieving process. Probably around 5 a.m. I was immediately put back on magnesium for another 24 hours. I was having contractions about every 20 to 30 minutes. So they were hoping that the magnesium would slow things down. We FaceTimed with the boys and my parents. I had told them, Mark had got it all set up the night before. They had like a tripod they could put the phone on so that I could just sit and watch Christmas morning. So now Mark and I both watched our kids have their Christmas morning. And introduced the boys through FaceTime to their little sister Maggie. It was kind of a special morning, not what we envisioned. Of course, we would have loved to be home with our boys, but that was not our journey. Despite it being a very hard morning, The boys were in good spirits. Mark and I were in good spirits. We held Maggie while the boys opened their presents, and we hung out with them that way for a while. Thankfully, the internet worked. The internet in the hospital is terrible, but we were able to connect with the boys for that hour, and it was really great. Thankfully, around noon, my contractions stopped completely. And Mark and I spent the day holding Maggie, grieving, talking. We got to do her footprints. It was an extremely tender day. Even though she was not here with us. We felt her spirit with us. She was so tiny, but so special. She will always be our daughter and big sister. I had worries before delivery that when the babies were born, that we would, that baby A would kind of be pushed to the side and all the attention would be given to baby B and rushing her to the NICU. So it was actually a huge blessing. We got to spend the entire day with Maggie. It was really special. Christmas will forever be changed because it was the day we got to spend with our beautiful daughter Magnolia. And it's a day that has changed me forever. So, back on magnesium with no contractions, staying in bed for a few days or a few weeks. Before getting pregnant with twins, I had no idea any of this could ever happen. I didn't know you could deliver one baby and still be pregnant with another one. I didn't know that, there were all these issues that could happen. I just had no idea, and it has been such a wild ride. We will keep you updated on what happens with sweet baby B. We love you all. Thank you for cheering us on. Thank you for the prayers and the kind words, and we'll see you again real soon for more of This Alaska Life.